Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here today at Book Blather. If you're new here, I'm Dave, this is Olive, and we try to have a little fun while we talk about books of all types to help spread the joy of reading. So since it's the holiday season, we have been reading a bunch of Christmas stuff. And we've been doing our Dickens fireside readings, where we've been reading Dickens Christmas short stories by the fire. But it's been a couple weeks now, and we've been reading a bunch of Christmas stuff, and we haven't done a wrap-up yet, so we figured we should do that. So we've read a number of different things, all different types of Christmas stuff. So that's really cool. We're excited to tell you about this variety that we did. We mentioned it all in our TBR, but we had a decent time with all this. But let's go through them here. So the first one is a horror novella. This is called The Visitor by Sergio Gomez. So this was independently published in 2020. We had wanted to read this last year, but we didn't get around to it. So what this is about a group of people that are trapped in trapped on Christmas Day in a diner because of a snowstorm. And I think it's like 5 people, and like a 6th unknown person shows up, right? And so it's not a mystery. You can see right there on the cover, that's an alien, okay? But when I saw this, I thought, I was thinking back to made me think of the old Twilight Zone episode. Really great. So many great Twilight Zone episodes, but one of the many good ones was this one called Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? And it was a similar type of thing. There was a snowstorm, and so a small group of people were trapped in a diner, and there had been a flying saucer ship or something that had crashed nearby, and the footprints led to the diner. So there was 7 people in the diner, but only 6 people had been on the bus when they got trapped at this diner, but they didn't know who was who. And so I kind of got it's a great episode. It's a fun episode. You should check it out. But I kind of got that feel when I read what this story was about. I thought this was kind of be that kind of story with like a little horror slasher element to it. Not that kind of story. This was just basically, like I said, obviously that's an alien right on the cover. The alien just comes and kills a bunch of people. So, the byline of this was like, it's not just going to be a white Christmas. This Christmas will be red. So that was it. Alien just killed some people. So not a lot happened in this. It was pretty short. And the writing was, it wasn't horrible, but the writing was, it was pretty immature writing. It was, kind of read like somebody's first independently published novel. I don't know, Gomez has written a number of books, so I don't know if this was actually his first one, but it kind of read that way. It kind of read like a first independently published novel. The writing was not that sophisticated. So, it was okay. Like I said, nothing. It was a quick thrill ride. Honestly, I don't know if it's worth your time. There's other stuff to read, but we're not angry that we read it. It was okay. All right. Then we read some Christmas smut, and that when we did our TBR, the book that everybody was most interested in was this one, Grave Tidings by Salem Sinclair, which I'll put up here because we don't normally read. We're not e-readers, so we don't normally read ebooks. But this was on my door. We have Kindle Unlimited because my daughter, and so it was there, and I could get it right away. And so I wasn't sure I wanted to own a physical copy of this book anyway. So so we read this on the I don't have a Kindle. I have a iPad, and we read it on the Kindle app. And so we read this on there. Grave Tidings by Salem Sinclair. This was, what you'd expect it to be. This was very, very spicy. So this is about a main character called Noelle, and it's Christmas Eve. She's in the dumps because her boyfriend just broke up with her, and so last minute she's trying to get a Christmas tree up her front steps, and she falls on her butt, and lo and behold, this, large, muscular guy shows up and helps her bring the tree inside. And so then he comes inside and he holds the tree and Noelle is she's bending down under the tree to get it set up while he's standing there behind her holding the tree for her, and that's where it starts right away. It's right into it. And of course, we find out pretty quickly that this is not some normal guy. This is actually Krampus. And they live in Grim Lake. There's a whole series of these books, and I think they're called the Grim Lake Chronicles or the Grim Lake something. And and so Grim Lake is a town where humans and other entities like coexist together. And so this is Krampus, and like I said, it just gets right into it right away, and it's pretty hardcore. This is not not romantic smut. This is BDSM smut. It's explicit. It's hardcore, and that's pretty much all there is to the story. So, if that's what you're looking for, this certainly delivers. This, like I said, it gets straight into the action, and it gets pretty heavy. It gets pretty heavy right away. So, it was okay. We don't normally read this kind of book, but it just intrigued us and had the holiday theme to it. So, we finished it, and we're like, we're not going to read any more of these. And, then the funniest thing happened. We're just looking at our Kindle app, and this just showed up in there. And I was like, Olive, what the heck? Like, Olive just went and downloaded this book. And so now it's in the Kindle app, and I don't like having unread stuff in the Kindle app, because it's all cluttered, what's read, not read. And, so I like, thanks a lot, Olive. Now I have to read it because, it's in there. So we read this next book, Utide Nightmare. And this book was, so the first book, the main character is Noelle. This book is about her best friend, Yule. And this, if you look at this cover, if you look close, there's like a number 2 on it. This book actually was like, I think the 5th in the series. She does like a Valentine's one, an Easter one, a Halloween one. So this is actually like the 5th one, I think, that she put out. But this one, there's another book that's labeled number 2, but this one's also labeled number 2 because you can read it right after this one because they're both for Christmas and they're connected because Yule is Noelle's best friend. And so this one is Yule. This one starts off a little different. The character is not a mystery. This character is, I think this is the way to pronounce it. This is a folklore entity from this time of year. It called different ways to pronounce it. I think it's Mari Finn. Not Mary Finn. Mary. Oh my God, I can't remember how to pronounce this now. But Mary Floyd. Mary Floyd. I think that's how it is. Mary Floyd or Mary Floyd. If you know, tell me. I think you can pronounce this different ways. But anyway, and this character is like the it's got like a horse skull that is then like on top of a pole that I guess people bring around this time of year and sing songs to get entry into a house. So that when you go back and forth and eventually get in, so it's to get food and drinks. And so here, this Mary Floyd is actually is a ghost, but becomes corporeal like during the season for like 12 days, and so and turns of course into a hunky guy. And so this entity shows up every year, and Yule invites him in every year, and they have their usual thing. And so same thing, Christmas smut. This one was a bit shorter than Grave Tidings. It was also a little less hardcore, not so much on the BDSM stuff. It was still like rough smut, aggressive smut, I would say, but it wasn't quite as extreme as Grave Tidings was. So similar type of story. And so yeah, I mean, hopefully Olive's not going to download any more of these, and I don't have to suffer through any more of these books. But if that's, you know what type of book it is, there's nothing else to it. If that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for some hardcore Christmas smut, they absolutely deliver, and they're very quick reads. So, all right, moving on. The next thing we read was this. This is Mr. Dickens and His Carol by Samantha Silva. This by Flatiron Books. We buddy read this with Dia over at Novel Idea, and this was published in 2017. And this was a wonderful Christmas story. So this was, I guess you would call this historical fiction, right? This was a fictional story about Charles Dickens, but I think based in some truth. So this is set, so Charles Dickens wrote the famous A Christmas Carol, which was published in 1843. And so this is set right before that, when some of Dickens' books weren't doing very well, and a lot was getting pirated, and there were copycat versions of these things being put on in books, in publications, and in the theater and stuff. And so he was under a lot of pressure economically and from his family. And so this story tells the tale of him when he's starts out as, he's a generous guy, but he's getting pressure from everybody as the holiday season approaches. The sales aren't going well, and he's getting pressure from his wife, from his kids, from his publishers, from his other family members, like his father, even like the guy at the local toy shop is like pressuring him to support the charity. He's got a lot of pressures on him, and so he kind of just goes off on his own and goes to his old stomping grounds and encounters this muse, Eleanor Lovejoy, who gives him inspiration in various different ways to write A Christmas Carol, which in real life was kind of revitalized his career and was a big influence on elevating Christmas to the major holiday that it is today. And so she acts as his muse and gives him these different inspirations to write A Christmas Carol right before Christmas. And it was great. This is really good. It was, and it was told a little bit in the style of Dickens, old Dickens literature, a little bit, and a little Christmas magic like that. And so it was neat. It was kind of like a blend of genres. It was historical fiction, I guess, but it was also, like I said, a little Christmas magic, and it was very Christmassy, and it was a very nice story, really well paced. Really, really great theme for the holiday season. So we would highly recommend this. Dee and I both like this, but Olive and I would highly recommend this book. This is really great for the holiday season. Then if you've caught any of our fireside readings, we have been reading some Dickens Christmas stories. So as we mentioned, we didn't realize until very, very recently that A Christmas Carol was actually not Dickens' only Christmas story. He actually wrote many Christmas stories. He had a number of publications. One of them even had a regular Christmas issue each year. And so there's a lot of different Christmas stories. Some of them are in this old volume that we found out in the wild, Dickens Christmas Books and Christmas Stories. This book is over 100 years old. We couldn't even identify this book at first, but Erie identified it for us. So thank you, Erie. This is from very, very old collection from very early 1900s. And so this has a lot of them in there, but they're not all in there. And actually, a couple of important ones are all. We had to get this book, the Penguin Classics, Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol, and Other Christmas Writings. So this is a nice supplemental book to have in addition to this one. So we've read a few stories out of these in our fireside readings. We read The Story of the Goblins Who Stole a Sexton, which is actually what's been called the prototype for A Christmas Carol. It was written a little bit before that, and a lot of similarities. And we also read A Poor Relations Story, and we read A Christmas Episode from Mr. Humphrey's Clock. So those are the ones we've read so far. We're hoping to do a little bit more for the season, but it was fun reading those Dickens stories, especially alongside reading the Dickens historical fiction that we read. So I won't get into those too much since we did the readings on them. And then we've read a couple stories out of this. We didn't get too far, but this is A Lot Like Christmas by Connie Willis. Beautiful cover to this book. And so this is Connie Willis, if you don't know, is a a very successful science fiction author, and she loves Christmas. So she put together this collection of stories all about Christmas. And so we've only read two so far, but they were pretty decent, and of course they're very Christmassy. So not these aren't really like crazy sci-fi. I would maybe call them like sci-fi adjacent, right? So the first one was called Miracle. And this was about a woman that is, it's almost Christmas, and you know the office party's coming up, and she's doing different things to get ready for that. She's excited for the party, you know, single woman, and there's a guy there that she works with that she's very excited to wear a fancy dress to the Christmas party for. And some individual shows up at her apartment. So this mysterious individual, and she keeps encountering him while she's getting ready for days, while she's getting ready for all this Christmas stuff with a friend of hers at work. And you know, it's a story about there's a little Christmas magic to it, and you know it's a story about realizing what's really important during the Christmas season. So the story was pretty predictable, but it was a cute little heartwarming story. Like I said, with a little bit of Christmas magic. So it was fun. And then the second one we read is, what was that one called? That one was called, oh geez, All About Emily. And what this one was about was there's this actress. It's almost Christmas time. There's this actress, and some famous girl comes to visit this actress, and she's doing a tour of visiting New York generally. And I can't really say too much about one. This one does have a touch of sci-fi to it, and this girl becomes enamored with the Rockettes. And I think I'll have to leave it at that. If you don't know, if you're not those of us in the northeastern United States know the Rockettes well, but if you don't know, there's a famous show. There's Radio City Music Hall, which is a famous venue in New York City, and they have the Radio City. What do they call it? Christmas. It's a Christmas show, Christmas music show. It's a famous show they do every year, and a big part of that is the Rockettes, it's a large troupe of women. The women are the Rockettes. They're dancers that do different things throughout the show. And so very, very hard. A lot of women want to become a Rockette. It's very hard to become a Rockette. And so this little girl becomes infatuated with the Rockettes. And so I have to leave it at that. But same thing, not a great story, but it was decent. It was Christmassy, and so it was neat. These two stories, like the first story had a bit of they talk about Miracle on 34th Street, the famous Christmas movie. This one was dealing with the Rockettes and Radio City Music Hall. So there's a lot of like little Christmas references, really Christmas settings. So they were good. Like I said, not phenomenal stories, but they were good for the Christmas season. So we're continuing to read it. We started the next one called In, but we're still in the middle of that one. So we'll keep going with these. Read a few more out of this volume. So it's not that we're making good progress, and so we have a few more Christmas books that we're just going to keep going while the season's going on, and hopefully we'll have a few more things to review for you soon. But in the meantime, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you during the holidays, I think, for a couple of different things. We won't give anything away yet, but in the meantime, we want to wish you all a very happy holiday season, a safe holiday season. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you very soon, but in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.